This video is sponsored by our online store at AnimeUproar.com, where you can get original anime-inspired clothes like Escanor Praise the Sun, Meliodas Feel the Wrath, and our brand new shirt, Demon King Meliodas, All Hail the King. If you love the 7 Deadly Sins, make sure to check out AnimeUproar.com and use the code UPROAR25 at checkout to get a whole 25% off your purchase. Link in the description. What up guys, goes in here for AnimeUproar. And since I recently did the 7 sins ranked from weakest to strongest, I thought I might as well do my take on the 10 commandments ranked from weakest to strongest while I'm in the ranking mood. Remember to like and subscribe for more 7 Deadly Sins videos, and for even more 7 Deadly Sins content, follow us on Instagram, where we've grown a pretty big community of meme-loving anime fans. I post 7 Deadly Sins on there daily, so make sure to check us out on Instagram at AnimeUproar, link in the description. Keep in mind guys, going forward there will be big manga spoilers, you've been warned. In last place we have Fraudrin with a power level of 31,000. He possesses the commandment of selflessness, but he was never given the commandment directly by the Demon King. Rather, he was a stand-in for Gother, who used to be the commandment of selflessness 3,000 years ago. Thus, it makes sense that he would be the weakest. Fraudrin has the ability to take over a person's body, but it's definitely not guaranteed that he always can. For instance, when he first tried to take Dreyfus's body, he was unsuccessful and had to threaten Hendrickson before Dreyfus willingly allowed him to take his body. It is possible that if people have too high of a spirit level or even too much power, then the takeover won't work. In his ordinary body, he can use the ability full size to become insanely large. However, this doesn't stop Meliodas, with a combat class of 60,000 at the time, from easily and brutally defeating him. Next we have Galand, the Commandment of Truth, who normally has a combat class of 27,000 but can go up to 40,000 in his critical over mode. Thus, he can become considerably stronger than Fraudrin. Furthermore, his commandment actually came in handy for him. Anyone who lies in his presence will be turned to stone. This commandment temporarily turns Merlin's body to stone in chapter 121. Luckily for us, 3,000 years ago, the Supreme Deity gave her protection against dark curses and commandments, so she eventually was like, oh yeah, I have protection, and was able to return to normal. Galand was strong enough to give the Sins, including Bon and a not so strong Meliodas, trouble, but Escanor in his daytime form is easily able to take him out. Since Galand only really relies on his physical strength and his commandment can be avoided by simply not lying, taking him down is pretty easy. You just have to overpower him, and Escanor was easily able to do that. Next we have Grey Road, the commandment of pacifism, who is more tricky than Galand. Although Galand at full power is slightly stronger than Grey Road, whose power level is 39,000, the demon's commandment and abilities more than make up for that tiny difference. Grey Road can lay eggs in non-magical beings that will eventually become demons. In this way, she created a grey and red demon in the past. This is already a pretty crazy power, but it works perfectly in combination with her commandment, Thou Shalt Not Kill. Those who commit murder before her have all their time robbed of them, so just kill one of these demons and you wither away and die. Alternatively, the demons have no problem killing the enemy, since Grey Road is more than willing to sacrifice some of these demons, since she can create more of them so readily. Grey Road has the power to cut off someone's 5 senses as well, which makes defeating them all the easier. However, despite all this, Grey Road is still no match for Merlin, who can easily cure all of Grey Road's curses and who is unaffected by her commandment. Both her magic infinity, which stops her personal time, and her divine protection that she received from the Supreme Deity protects her from the consequences of Grey Road's commandment, so that she can freely kill in her presence. Usually, Grey Road would be near impossible to defeat, because even if you manage to get past her demons without killing them, or getting killed, by even killing one of the many tiny grey demons that make up her body, you will activate her commandment. So in theory, you would only get as far as killing one of the tiny grey demons before the commandment took you out. However, Merlin was the worst possible opponent Grey Road could have faced. Not only was she unaffected by the commandment, she could also use her advanced magic to trap Grey Road inside a vial. So even though Grey Road was defeated relatively easily, under different circumstances, she might have fared much better. Next we have Gloxinia, the first Fairy King and Commandment of Repose. According to the official fanbook, Gloxinia can reach a power level of 50,000, which is significantly higher than Grey Road and Gallant. Although his commandment never comes into play, we do know that Gloxinia possesses the same ability that King possesses called Disaster. This power allows one to turn small scratches into gaping wounds, or to condense the moisture within a tree branch enough to turn it into a potentially deadly bullet, among other things. Gloxinia is also an expert wielder of his own Spirit Spear, but King does eventually surpass him in power when he gets his own full-grown wings. What's pretty funny is that Gloxinia along with Droll get hurt by Escanor during the nighttime because they let down their guard, and then Meliodas takes advantage of the confusion and is beating them both until the rest of the commandments arrive. Gloxinia is strong, but clearly he is not one of the strongest commandments. Next up we have the first giant king Droll, who was the commandment of patience. Droll and Gloxinia are often together and their power is comparable, so you could probably make a case for either one being stronger. However, since their power is presented as relatively similar in the manga, and the official fanbook gave Droll a higher overall power level of 54,000, I decided to put him above the first Fairy King. It is also notable that while King has clearly surpassed the first Fairy King in the manga, Diane's highest power level was said to be 50,000 so far, so Droll can still be viewed as the strongest giant in history for the time being. Furthermore, he is probably the greatest earthbender in the history of the 7 Deadly Sins and can use heavy metal to increase his already impressive defensive and offensive power even more. He has a power increasing dance for giants named after him, and it's the same technique that Diane uses to increase her own power. Baelor's magical eye is actually named after Droll's human name, Baelor, because the Giant King has the ability to determine the strength of his opponents and read their thoughts, even though this power doesn't always work, like on Meliodas for instance. At the end of the day, Droll and Gloxinia were not a match for a pre-death Meliodas, and definitely not a match for Chandler. They were strong compared to their clans, but they couldn't compete with many demons. So my next choice is probably controversial, but I'll try to explain why I put her as high as I did. Next up I have Melascula, the Commandment of Faith. Although her power level is one of the weakest, 34,000, I think her unique abilities should put her this high up. Unlike with Gloxinia and Droll, we know what Melascula's commandment does. In chapter 145, she explains that everyone's heart possesses something they have faith in and believe in. Whether it's a god, the sword, or a lover, it's something very precious to them. But people's hearts are weak. They lose their faith over the smallest matters. Then we figure out that anyone who loses faith or harbors distrust towards that precious something in her presence will have their eyes burned. Not a bad commandment, but it's her other abilities that really impress me. For instance, she can even bring the dead back to life. Her incantation, the way of reviving the hateful dead, augments a corpse's lingering attachments and converts their anger into life force to summon them to this plane. And once they deny their anger and erase their lingering attachment, then death once again awaits them. This is how she brings back Elaine, who at first attacks Jericho and Bond because of this spell. Then there's the power to take out souls from people's bodies and eat them. In this way, she could potentially even beat an immortal opponent like Bond by taking his soul out of his immortal body and consuming it. Truly a fearsome ability that should not be underestimated. This does backfire when she tries to eat Escanor's soul and it burns her from the inside, but to be fair, Escanor overpowers all of the strongest commandments at one point, including Estarossa and Zelgius, so we can't really hold that against Melascula. Additionally, Melascula's deadly poison attack can completely disintegrate a body in an instant, and her Cocoon of Darkness spell gives the 7 Deadly Sins much more trouble than the previously mentioned commandments could. She traps Meliodas in her Cocoon of Darkness. She can take Meliodas' negative energy and use it to reinforce her zombie soldiers, increasing their attack, defense, and resistance to magic. In this way, she actually uses Meliodas' power to help her fight against the other sins. Furthermore, Melascula says that the Cocoon of Darkness is so strong that not even one of the 10 commandments, not even Zelgius without using the Demon King's power, could escape from it. Meliodas is only able to do so by entering Assault mode, which has a power level of 142,000. The lower ranking commandments on this list couldn't push Meliodas to that point, which is another reason why I believe that despite being given a combat class of only 34,000, she should be this high on this list. although she is eventually defeated by the Sins. Merlin even points out that if she used her true magic power, then her fight against the Sins could have gone any number of ways, but she was too conceited, made light of them, and so decided to fight them in her snake form, which sealed her fate. Thus, even when she's defeated, Merlin lets us know that it was because of her arrogance and not because of a lack of strength. So yeah, I spent way more time on Melascula than I expected to because I wanted to justify my decision, but now let's move on to the next commandment on this list. Derrire, the Commandment of Purity. Her power level is 52,000, so significantly above Melascula's. Her innate power combo star can potentially make her blows unimaginably strong. Monspeet explains that it's a super offensive specialized magic that, as long as her combination attacks hit their mark without any break, adds 200,000 pounds of weight with every strike. 200,000 pounds is over 90 times heavier than Diane's Warhammer Gideon, which weighs 2,200 pounds, so you can begin to imagine the force of Derrire's punch after a number of combo hits. Derrire gets as many as 54 combo hits on Meliodas, and they take his arms out of commission, so he has to fight with his sword in his mouth. The fact that he was still alive after that shows how strong Meliodas is, but imagine if Derrire somehow kept going. If 54 could break Meliodas' arms, imagine what 100 or more could do. It's an insanely powerful ability, but there is another reason why I put Derrire so high. I am also thinking about her Endura transformation. In chapter 206, Derrire along with Monspeet undergo an Endura transformation by each offering up 6 of their 7 hearts. According to Melascula, it's a forbidden art. The summoner exchanges his original form and sense of reason in order to take on the ultimate evil form. Endura is also called the Creature of Destruction. Only demons with a combat class of 50,000 or greater can undertake this transformation, so the previously mentioned 10 commandments can't because they either weren't over a 50,000 combat class, or if they were, they weren't demons like Loxinia and Droll. In this form, Derrire and Monspeet not only completely overpower the Archangels Tarmiel and Sarmiel, they also overpower Ludoshel, who in Margaret's body has a combat class of 201,000, and since during this fight he was in his own goddess body, his power level had to be even stronger. Thus, it is safe to assume, by the way they fought against the 3 Archangels including Ludoshel, that both Derrire and Monspeet have a combat class of at least over 200,000 in this form, putting them way above the previously mentioned members. The goddess Elizabeth eventually turns them back to normal, but I still wanted to factor in the fact that they could use this insanely strong transformation at one point. It's not a surprise that next I have Monspeet, the Commandment of Reticence. Although I believe that both Monspeet and Derrire have comparable strength, Monspeet has a slightly stronger base combat class of 53,000. As mentioned, he too entered the Endura transformation and partook in absolutely wrecking the 3 Archangels, including Ludoshel. Monspeet's original power is Trickstar, which allows him to switch 2 objects of roughly equal size or mass with each other. This power includes himself and other people. He uses this ability to get Estarossa into a chokehold when he attacks him and Derrire. As Derrire points out, he also isn't hurt by Estarossa's Hellblaze attack because he is one of the greatest wielders of Hellfire even in the demon world. Thus, Monspeet was able to immobilize Estarossa, something that I don't believe Derrire could have done. However, Derrire lets down her guard, gets too close to Estarossa, who takes advantage and almost kills her, before Monspeet uses his ability to switch places with her, sacrificing his own life for the person he loves. So since Monspeet could get the advantage against Estarossa until Derrire messed it up, and since even after that he could distract him long enough for Derrire to reach Elizabeth, I have to put Monspeet over Derrire on this list. Next up, we have Zelgius, the Commandment of Piety. According to the official guidebook, he was given a base power level of 61,000, already putting him above everyone else mentioned so far. However, this power level does not do him justice at all. He is able to fight against much stronger opponents. His father, the Demon King, lent him some of his power, which makes magic attacks useless against him. When you combine this ability with his original power, Ominous Nebula, you get one of the most OP combinations in the series. Ominous Nebula sucks enemies into him, and they can't launch a physical attack since when they get close enough, his quickly swirling dark energy cuts them apart. This move works so quickly that even Ludoshell, with his Grace Flash, is not fast enough to stop it. Remember that Ludoshell at this point has a combat class of 201,000, and he cannot do anything to Zelgius. Zelgius doesn't even need to undergo an Endura transformation to defeat him. However, unluckily for Zelgius, it happens to be high noon when he uses that attack, and the one puts a stop to it. Nevertheless, Zelgius is easily stronger than any of the previously mentioned members on this list. Next we have Estarossa, or rather Mael. Estarossa was always strong, but ever since he regained his memories of being Mael and his Sunshine ability, he is stronger than ever. Mael with Sunshine is even stronger than Escanor in the 1 mode. He simply has to get close to Zelgius when he is using Ominous Nebula and Zelgius' sword melts. The same sword that was used to stop the 1's karate chop. The fact that Mael can overpower Zelgius as he is, and he doesn't even need to enter the 1 mode to do it, shows how strong he truly is and how much stronger he can potentially become. If Afternoon Mael is stronger than Escanor in the 1 mode, then you can bet that Mael in the 1 mode is insanely powerful. I really hope we get to see it at one point. Lastly, for fun, I'll also mention Meliodas, who was at one point the leader of the 10 Commandments. I believe that if we included him, he should rest at the top of the list. Even before he awakens his original OP power in Purgatory, Meliodas in chapter 246 was able to effortlessly overpower Estarossa, Zelgius with the Demon King's power, and Cusack at the same time. Now he's unlocked his original power that is strong enough to destroy the Demon King's entire arm, a feat that no one else was able to get close to accomplishing so far. Most likely, the original power is also what allowed him to destroy an entire kingdom on par with Leonis in strength in a moment of wrath, and what allowed him to leave a lasting scar on Bond's immortal body. Meliodas suggests that the power once awakened is so strong that he won't be able to stay in the human world. We haven't heard of anyone else, including Mael with Sunshine, being too strong to be able to stay in the human world, so this does suggest that Meliodas will be on another level. Plus, it is possible that after Bond and Meliodas defeat the Demon King, Meliodas will keep the power of the 10 Commandments for himself, which would further increase his already insane power. Mael with Sunshine was no match for the Demon King in Meliodas' body, but we don't know how Mael in the 1 mode would fare against him. Nevertheless, because of what we've seen from Meliodas so far, and because he could quite possibly inherit the power of the 10 Commandments soon, I have to give him the number 1 spot. And that is it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell for more 7 Deadly Sins videos. Leave your suggestions for future videos in the comments. If that isn't enough 7 Deadly Sins for you, check out our Instagram for daily 7 Deadly Sins content. A big thank you goes out to our patrons, especially to our pro tier patrons, Ace17, FFDP, Keelan, and the one and only Gilgamesh. If you like what we do, consider supporting more videos like this for as little as $1 a month. Think about it, that's even less than a Starbucks coffee. And you'd even get your name featured in future videos among these awesome people right here. You can also buy anime-inspired shirts like Meliodas Feel the Wrath and Escanor Praise the Sun at AnimeUproar.com. Link in the description. Fans of the channel even get 25% off, just use the code UPROAR25 at checkout. Thank you for your support, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboy.